Hi everyone, this is Cody Smith, and welcome to my channel, Cody Smith, Peer Support with Christ. I wanted to let everyone know I finished chapter 19 of my book yesterday, The World of Disability, and I'm working on the final chapter, chapter 20, which is about my future plans with all the training that I mentioned in chapter 19. And I'm also going into some different things, like a lot of the stereotypes about people with disabilities with dating and relationships, and some different, myths and things that I found on websites, along with some answers to those stereotypes that I found in articles and different things like that. So it may be a bit of a long chapter, but I just want you to know the truth and see, yes, there are myths, but here are the answers, and here's the real truth. How those of us with disabilities can live typical, average lives just like everyone else. And you may call it quote unquote normal, but that is a relative term, because what's normal for me, Cody Smith, is not normal. What's normal for my mom or my dad or my brother or my cousin or my best friend or anybody else for that matter, because what's considered normal or typical for each of us depends on our situation, what's going on that day, how we're struggling with it, and what we decide according to our free will and what works best for us on how to deal with it. So it varies person to person, case to case, situation to situation, day to day, whether we have the same disability or not, how we're affected, do we have the same effects or not, it could be, what's a normal day for someone in poverty is not going to be the same as a normal day for someone who is filthy rich, and, different things, because we all have our own ways of dealing with the same things. Whether we're going through the same situation or not, we're going to deal with it differently depending on our resources, depending on our choices, and things like that. And I just want to open your eyes and let you see that, we do the same things as everyone else, but based on the fact that we have our disabilities and they affect us in certain ways individually, we're going to make our own choices of how to deal with it, and we're going to experiment and find, okay, this works for me, and this is how I deal with it, but it may not be the same way you deal with it or the person next to me deals with it. Even if they have the same disability, they're going to choose their own ways of dealing with that same situation based on how they're affected, what they're good at, what they have, trouble doing. And it's going to vary person to person, and it doesn't matter if you're disabled or not. That's just human nature. One person's good at one thing, another person's good at another, and so on and so forth. So, we all have our different strengths and weaknesses as different people, even though as humans, we have the same makeup and characteristics. We all have our own choices, our own strengths and weaknesses, and we're going to use our strengths and weaknesses, make those choices based on our free will, and deal with each situation in a different way. And that's what I want everyone to know, because I want everyone to know that, no matter what the situation is or how we deal with it, that does not affect our humanity, and that does not mean we need to be ostracized and looked down upon. And it's all going to come back to the fact that disability exists, therefore we need an outside, all-knowing, all-powerful being that is not human and cannot be human by default, to make the decision of what makes a human, what makes a human completely healthy, having both the power to make us physically as well as the authority to do so and the choice and free will to do so. And then if we start out, if we're disabled now and things are breaking down and situations are getting worse throughout the world, you have to have a standard of the perfect ideal situation from which to fall from in order to know, okay, this situation started off here and was good, was fine, but then it broke down, and to know what, how you fall from what's good and go down to what's bad where we are now, and to know a standard of human health to say, okay, this person's perfectly healthy, but then this happened causing them to be injured or sick or whatever, and that means their health has fallen and declined, or something happened to this person where they were born perfectly healthy, then something happened and they ended up disabled, like with my ventricular brain bleed due to premature birth, to cause me to develop a disability and live like this and have to adjust how I handle day-to-day life situations in order to do them independently. And that's the kind of thing that I'm getting at, and that's why I feel like, okay, if this world is broken down, we've got a problem and we need someone to fix it, and it means that something catastrophic and destructive had to happen to us and the world in order for us to begin to break down. And that means that, if an all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving God created the world perfectly healthy, perfectly fine, then we would have to be the ones to screw it up through sin and disobedience, and that would mean we would break down as punishment. And then, since we continue to sin, we obviously can't fix it, no matter how hard we try. And that would mean that since God is the only one who has never sinned, he would have to be the one to come down and live a life like ours, never sin, and then take the punishment, the ultimate punishment for that sin, all sin, past, present, future, anywhere and everywhere in the world, by everyone, and pay the price. And if he's willing to do that, that's why we should bow the knee. And that's why I believe that the Bible is true. And you could even look at secular sources like Flavius Josephus, the Jewish historian, who was not a believer, but records, yes, Jesus was crucified, and he was believed to have performed miracles. And Tacitus, who was a Roman historian, who basically said the same thing, meaning that whether he was God or not, he at least was crucified, and, the tomb was empty, and things like that. So at least they're confirming the facts of empty tomb, crucifixion, all those different things. So that's why I believe that disability points to God and the truth of Christianity. And that is how I'm wrapping up this book, by giving you some real life examples of how we as people with disabilities can live typical lives and do the activities that people typically do in life on our own. We just do them in a different way. And if you would take the time to listen and hear our side of the story, just as you would want us to do for you, then maybe, you would learn, okay, this person isn't what I expected, they're not what I thought, and, I could probably really get along with this person. Maybe I would really like to date this person, and, those sorts of things, to get to know us first and allow us to share the stories of our disabilities and how we deal with them. And, that does not take away our humanity. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.